hanging out in the doghouse. I said I was gonna clean the engine bay, so I gotta clean the engine bay. Slightly intoxicated, so I apologize for anything that happens from here on out.
We're headed for adventure, our worries left behind. Taken to the water, fun rising like the tide. With open skies above us, we'll be running side by side. Come on and weigh the anchor, we're casting off the line. We're about the destination, the journey is divine. Welcome to the story of living our bold life. We're doing it our own way on Lady K. We're sailing away on Lady K.
Morning, guys. So, update. We just left Palmyra, New York. Small little dock there, free dockage, free washrooms. It's what day is it? It's Sunday. It's Sunday at 8 a.m. August 19th. 19th, yes. And we are heading into probably the scariest part of the Erie Canal so far. Tim was trying to get some breakfast, and I had to call him outside because of all of this. What makes it more scary is all the fog starting to rise too. It's like really creepy and eerie. I'm not a fan right now.
Little Erie Canal update for you. We are on day 4. This part is particularly not fun because it's after Lock 25 on the way to Lock 24. They're 30 miles apart and there's only one place to stop in the middle. And in the cruising guide, we have the Skipper Bob book, which, by the way, make sure you have that if you're going to do this because it's absolutely unequivocally fundamental. You have to have it. It tells you just so much stuff. Anyway, the only middle point between these two locks on a 30-mile trek, which is like 5 or 6 hours, is this little town called Weedsport, and there's a dock right beside the bridge. But in the cruising guide, it says many cruisers have reported being harassed here. So we're not really sure what to expect. We're not going to spend the night, obviously, because that's just bad news. Anyway, we're going to pull up. We got to tie up for a few minutes, just check the oil. It's been several hours. We like to check the oil every 4 or 5 hours just to make sure we're not in trouble. But anyway, we're going to pull up, check the oil, maybe be there for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then we're going to split. So hopefully everything's okay. Just waking up in Baldwinsville, New York. We got the boat running, engines warming up. We're sitting right outside the next lock. I don't know if you can see it around our boat. Lock 24 is right there. So I'm gonna wait till 7 a.m. and we'll give him a holler. It's set up for westbound passage right now, so we're gonna have to wait until he fills the lock and all that fun stuff. But the sailors in front of us that we met last night when we came and tied up told us about a Volvo mechanic just up the way, 20 miles up. And that's kind of what we've been looking for our sail drive. So these guys on Gypsy Soul, right in front of us. When we came up around from back here, we saw all the power boats tied up, and we saw a sailboat with its mast down. So we thought, hey, that's where we should park for the night. So we had a few beers with those guys, and yeah, they told us about Wade Carroll at a boatyard in Bowmanville, I think it's called. I'm probably wrong, but anyway, it's about 20 miles up right before Oneida Lake, and he's like the Volvo guy to go to. So we're gonna see if he's got the seals for our dipstick and our oil cap on our sail drive, so we stop losing oil into the village. So we are entering Oneida Lake, which is there. It's the biggest lake on the Erie Canal. It's going to be about 3.5 hours to cross it at the speed we have. Powerboat wakes already. 17.5 miles across. So, give her. Doesn't look too bad right now. It's 9 or 10 knots right on the nose. But no mast up to protect us from rolling, which kind of sucks. And then tomorrow's 25 to 30 on the nose, so we're gonna try to do her today. It's just coming up on noon, so we're coming in the other end of the lake around supper time. Should be fun. Hey guys, so we're just waking up after a nice day off yesterday. We are at beautiful Winter Harbor Marina and Boatyard, right at the mouth to Oneida Lake. Or Oneida Lake, I don't know if we're saying it right. Anyway, we day before yesterday we came through here and we tried to get across the lake, and there was like 10 or more knots of wind on the nose, so coming from the direction we were going. So we were barging into it, which normally on this boat is okay. It weighs enough and it's heavy enough and big enough that it just pushes the waves out of the way and you just bounce up and down for the 3 hours it takes to get across. The problem is the mast started moving, and we have it sort of strapped down above our heads, and it started moving fore and aft, which really freaked us out. So we got maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes bashing out into the lake, and we turned around and we came back. We looked for a place to stay that was protected from the wind, because it was supposed to be forecast to 25 to 30 knots out of the west, or sorry, out of the east. So we found this place, Winter Harbor, because it's a little bit further back into the Erie Canal, only a couple, like maybe a mile, but it's around the corner, around a bend, so there's much less wind. So we pulled in here. They cleared out this nice little spot for us. I'll show you guys in a minute. And they have courtesy cars here. So we were able to grab a courtesy car and go into Home Depot and Walmart and all kinds of other stuff. So we got a whole bunch more of these big yellow ratchet straps. We got some new lumber, and we built a new frame at the back of the boat. We used to have the big X made with some scrap wood that we got from Port Colborne when we took the mast down. That was a failing point for this arrangement. So we got some more lumber. We made a much better version this time. And we fixed sort of the middle bit and added all the ratchet straps. So now the mast is like, you can't move it. No matter what you do to it, it won't move. So we think we're in good shape there. Today we were gonna either spend the day, it's supposed to be 15 to 20 knots all day today, but they're out of the west this time, so they'll be behind us if we go out into the lake right now. It's still a lot of wind to be on a long, skinny lake with, because it is going to generate a lot of waves. But this time the waves will be on our back, so we'll actually come up the waves and surf down the other side, which we kind of did when we were in Cleveland. And it makes us do over 7 knots coming down the waves, sometimes over 8. I think 8.6 is the fastest we saw. So we might be able to cut the lake short by riding the waves across and riding the wind across. So right now we're gonna go grab one of their courtesy cars and we're gonna drive down to the lake. It's just, like I said, about a mile down, and we're gonna look at the lake and see what it looks like. And if it looks doable, then we'll probably get out of here and we'll go try it. And our bailout plan is, if we don't like it when we get the boat there, we can turn around and we can park at the city wall. There's a free tie-up and we can spend a night there. So let me show you what we did on the mast though. We get some more coffee in me because it's early. So the new rear brace is here. And again, it was just a big X before, but now we've got it built up really nice. We got some lag bolts in there. We got a ratchet strap holding it all to the stern rail so it can't move forward. And then it's just rock solid. And then we have this ratchet strap at the back, and it is slightly angled forward so that it pulls the mast forward and down. And then as you go forward, we have this arrangement in the middle, and this is probably what's our kind of saving grace for our forward and aft movement. So this one goes aft and that one goes forward, and it wraps around once and it goes aft. So one strap will start at the back, come up over the mast, go around a couple times, and then it goes forward. And then this strap does the opposite. It starts at the front, goes around, and then it goes aft. And they are all super tight. So that's holding the mast both down and fore and aft. And then we have this one that goes up around the spreaders and then back. So it's holding the mast completely aft and sort of counteracting that rear strap that pulls it forward. And then we have one more up at the front, right up at the front here. And it's holding the mast down. And then the mast is also strapped to the wood and the bow rail. And the bow rail is bolted, so it's holding the bow rail from spreading. So it's kind of become an integral part of the bow rail's construction. So anyway, you can pull as hard as you want on this mast now. Anyway, you can grab the mast and pull as hard as you want and do anything you want to it. It doesn't move even a quarter of an inch. It's really on there solid. So I want to introduce you to a friend of ours named Bruce. He got a hold of us on social media. We've been chit-chatting ever since. He left Dunkirk a few days after we left Erie, Pennsylvania. And he's been about a day behind us all the way up the canal, but sometime late last night he actually caught us. And he's here in Brewerton. He's just doing some laundry and getting his boat ready to make the crossing of Oneida Lake. So he's just up here on the wall, and we'll get a shot of him as we go by. Pretty cool dude. Here he comes. So, since we're in the middle of Oneida Lake and there's not a lot going on, we're just sort of riding the swell, big waves coming up from behind us, giving us little pushes every once in a while. I wanted to talk for a second about something I think every boater knows, or every captain knows or goes through, and that's the worry. Like, you're always worried about, like, I'm worried about the diesel, I'm worried about the sail drive, I'm worried about the through hulls, I'm worried about the rig. Like, you always have to have that stuff on your mind. And when you're day sailing in a lake like what we're used to, it's not so bad. Like, you know, you can always get back into port. Typically you can sail it back in if you're really stuck, or you can put the anchor down and wait for favorable wind and then sail it back in. But out here like this, with the mast down, one engine, we're really become reliant on a lot of this mechanical stuff, and you really start to understand what it is to really have to rely on one thing and really have no backup plan. So, I mean, we do have the anchor, but something really crazy happened last night. It got really real. We had went to bed kind of early-ish, 9:30, whatever, and we were only sleeping for a couple hours, and I woke up like hysterical, and I jumped out of bed, and I was like quite loud and like yelling at Candace like, where are we, where are we, where are we? And I was looking out the window because I had a dream we were coming up the Erie Canal, which in a lot of times is only 40 feet wide, with rock walls on both sides. So if you screw up, you're doing 7 knots. If you screw up, you don't have a lot of time to catch it. So I was dreaming that we were doing that, and the boat was coming closer and closer and closer to the starboard side, to the wall. And I like leapt out of bed, hysterical in that, you know, not quite sleeping but not quite awake phase. And I like looked out the window and I'm like screaming, and I opened the hatch and I looked around. I'm like, where are we, where are we? And I felt helpless. Like I can't even get the hatch open. Like it was really terrifying. When I did get the hatch open and I looked around, I realized that we were in Brewerton and we were tied up to a wall that we've been at for 2 days. So it was all for nothing, but that's what goes through your head, and that's how real it is being out here like this. Like all you think about all the time is, where do we keep the boat tonight? What could go wrong? If it goes wrong, what do we do? So I guess self-realization there about this trip is it changes your mentality quite a lot. And you worry a lot more, as much as you try not to, and you trust the boat. I know we've done everything to the diesel. I know all the through hulls are new. Like everything, all the preparation's been done right, but you still worry. Hey guys, so we crossed the Oneida Lake. It was very rolly, very windy, very rainy. 3 different storm systems hit us. It wasn't fun, but we made it. Now we're back in the Erie Canal. It's very scenic, very calm, and we're headed for sort of something new. We're headed for the locks that go up instead of down. Every lock so far we've dropped as much as I think 25 feet was the biggest. The first set is 2 that are both 25 feet, but now we have to go up to the elevation of Rome, New York, which I think is 420 feet ASL. So there's 2 locks coming up, like a 21 and a 22 footer or something like that, and then after that is Rome. So we're gonna stop in Rome, and when in Rome, do whatever people do in Rome. Where we at, babe?
We're the Erie Canal.
Where are we going?
We're going to Rome.
Rome!
Rome!
What are we gonna do in Rome?
Wow. When in Rome? I have no idea. Oh, I'm gonna clean the engine bay. It's quite dirty from spilling some oil, and the transmission fluid was overflowing because the seal was broken, but that's been replaced now. So I'm gonna climb into Tim's doghouse and clean it all out, and then I think that was about the gist of my plan for the day, and then dinner. Tim's asleep. Womp womp. And I'm not. And I am hanging out in the doghouse. I said I was gonna clean the engine bay, so I'm gonna clean the engine bay. Slightly intoxicated, so I apologize for anything that happens from here on out. But ideally, I want to show you that I'm cleaning the engine bay. I mentioned it in one of the last segments that we were leaking oil and transmission fluid, which both have seemed to stop leaking, but you can't really tell until everything's been cleaned up, so I'm going to work on that. Hey! Tear apart the front side. I don't want to wake Tim up. He's been sleeping for a bit, and he deserves it. He pummeled through all the waves today of Lake Oneida. Oneida. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. Oneida makes sense to me. he pummeled through most of those waves and the storms. We got hit by 3 systems today, and he took the better of all of them. So kudos to him. Thank you, baby. This is why it's Tim's doghouse and not mine. Or maybe it is. I don't know. It's not very comfortable down here. I know I feel really, really bad for every time he's been down here. So the next day, we entered Little Falls and were pleasantly greeted with a car show. And if you guys know us at all, we like our cars. While we were there, one of the judges insisted we enter our boat as a classic car, and we did. While we didn't win any prizes for that, we won a door prize. So, after taking a gander at the table, we decided that we were going to get a beer buggy! Yay! And then after that, we wandered around, checked out some of the cars there, and yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool. The only other place we've really been to a classic car show of any sort was back home in Chatham, which is known as the classic car capital of Canada. While we were here, though, there were a couple that were questionable, but they didn't say it was a classic car show, just a car show in general. So, yeah, nice for the win.
After the really cool car show, we got treated to a really awesome fireworks display at the end of the night. Partying it up in Little Falls, and our friend Bruce from Dunkirk, that's been following us for like a week, has finally just caught up with us. He's just rolling into Little Falls in time for the car show. Oh, so we filled our water tank. It's 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning right now. Water tank's full, diesel's full, all of our water jugs are full. We are completely full of everything, so we're ready to rock. Today we are changing it up a bit. We're going to be traveling with a buddy boat, our friend Bruce, in his boat. So there'll be 2 boats. We'll go a little bit slower, but we'll actually be with somebody else, which is kind of cool. We've been alone this whole time. Also, we're hitting Lock 17, the treacherous Lock 17. It's a 40-foot lock, so for us it's a 40-foot drop, and the walls aren't very good, and what we hear is Lock 17 is the worst of the worst. It's the worst lock on the Erie Canal. So we'll see when we get there. We should be there pretty soon. Anyway, thanks for tagging along. Hey guys, we're just approaching the bottom of Lock 17. Check it out. This lock is massive. It's a 40-foot drop. My friend Bruce is behind me. He's solo on that boat, so he's standing in the middle hanging onto a ladder. And in front of us is the USS Obnoxious and a sailboat from Toronto. Anyway, well on our way. Almost on Lock 17, and we're gonna get wet on the way out of here because it's a lift gate instead of doors that open. It's the only one that's like that. So it comes up out of the water and drips the whole time you drive under it. So that'll be fun. On the next episode of Lady K Sailing, we finish the Erie Canal with some drunken power boaters. We reinstall our mast ourselves. And we sail into New York City.
We're headed